Greetings. My name is Letitia Hensley, and I'm the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools Director of Family and Community Engagement. We are excited that you are joining us today and know you will gain great insight from this session. At the conclusion of today's session, please provide feedback so that we can continue to support you with amazing sessions that will be provided throughout the year. Now, without further ado, we'll turn it over to our presenters.
Good afternoon, CMS families. Thank you for joining us for today's Family Academy Lunch and Learn Mastery Connect Family Portal. Please be sure to sign in using the bit.ly that's at the top of the Q&A feature, as well as the link for today's slide deck. We will continue to drop that into the Q&A feature as well. Go to the next slide. Oh. Sorry. Our presenters today, as we go to prepare for the next slide, our presenters today, Melissa Teal and Teresa Broughton will be presented to you today. We're so excited to have them here. If you need translation support, at the top of the slide, you'll see the word captions. You'll click on captions. Afterwards, you'll click on show live captions shown there, and then you will select the language from the drop down. Once again, you'll choose captions and then show live captions, and then you will choose the language on the drop down menu. And how to engage. You can click on the Q&A to type in your question in the Q&A box. Our questions will be monitored and we will have Q&A time at the end of the presentation. Please be sure to shout out any reactions, and please shout out your school, your children's school, in the Q&A section so we can know what schools we are engaging with. And at this time, I am pleased to present your speaker for today, Melissa Teal.
Good morning or afternoon, it's 12:02. To all of our families and community members, we are excited to spend the next few minutes with you, helping you understand a new feature this year in the district, Mastery Connect, which we'll talk about what that is, and the family portal that is aligned to it. Just so Teresa and I know who's in the space to make sure we are facilitating the conversation to meet your needs, if you could, in your Q&A feature, drop in the name of the school or schools that your children attend and what grade levels they're in. That way we can make sure that we are reaching everyone today. Our team is led by our fearless leader, Ryan Revac, and we are proud to have 6 specialists on our team. We represent the school improvement and data integration team. We support the schools and members of the school district and families with understanding what data you have access to and then how to make sense of the data that you have access to. Our agenda today is threefold. So we're going to look at 1, what is Mastery Connect? You might be familiar with this platform, you might not. 2, understanding how you'll be able to activate your parent portal accounts when they go live with the district. And then 3, once you're in your parent portal account, we'll walk you through some of the parent portal reports. So our first agenda topic is just defining what is Mastery Connect and how do we as a district use it. Mastery Connect is an online teaching tool and student assessment platform. It does a couple things for staff and teachers in our district. First, it allows our teachers to efficiently and effectively determine what students know and don't know based upon the course standards. So if you have a 3rd grader, it is set up and aligned with all of the standards that they are expected to know in 3rd grade, and it allows for teachers to give assessments, little ones, big ones, along the way throughout the year to see how your student is progressing. Students are able to take a variety of different assessments and receive results instantly. So this assessment platform, excuse me, allows them to take multiple choice assessments, drag and drop assessments, true, false, written response. That way we can assess students through a variety of modalities. And then students can see their results instantly. They can see their score and they can see which standards they've mastered and which standards they may still need a lot of help with. As stated, results are displayed by standard, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about the colors that you might see. It ensures common assessments are available. This has been a really big push in our district in the last 4 or 5 years, that students across our district have access to and are taking the same assessments to make sure that we are lifting the bar for all students. And then last but not least, it's useful in helping to monitor our district's goals and guardrails. Those are the 2029 goals and guardrails that have been set by our Board of Education and that we are held accountable to for ensuring we're working toward. And Mastery Connect and the assessments within it are used to measure how the district is growing toward those goals and guardrails. How is it used this year? In CMS, we are using it in 3rd through 12th grade. If your student is in an EOG or EOC course in 3rd through 12th grade, their teacher has to have a Mastery Connect tracker, and I'll explain why in a little bit. If you're on the call and you're like, but my kiddo's in K2, their teacher may still be using Mastery Connect. In kindergarten through 2nd grade, it is principal choice if they would like to use this platform or not. A lot of our schools do use it in kindergarten through 2nd grade because it's an easy way to capture that data. But just want to let you know in case your school does not use it in K through 2. The reason we use it in 3rd through 12th for all of those EOG and EOC courses, so specifically if your student is in 3rd through 8th grade, they have this in reading, 3rd through 8th grade for math, 5th and 8th grade for science. And then if you have high schoolers, this is used in their Math 1, Math 3, English 2, and biology courses. Non-negotiable, they have to have them. We use it because this is how the district administers an assessment called the Mastery View Predictive Benchmarks. You may have heard of these before. We are entering our 3rd year of administering them. And it is a predictive benchmark that the district uses, 1, to measure how are we progressing toward our goals and guardrails, but 2, how are students performing on standards that are aligned to the end of grade or end of course assessment. As you can see, it has predictive benchmarks. So it is used for schools and for students and now families to know, how is my student progressing toward what they will be assessed on at the end of the year. In addition, Mastery Connect can be used for tracking formative assessments and progression of standards mastery. So within the Mastery Connect platform, all of our district specialists who develop the content and work with the curriculum to develop, assessments or take assessments from the curriculum, they put them in Mastery Connect so that students across the district have access to them. Activating your Mastery Connect parent portal account. So starting this year, you will have access to a parent portal account. Mastery Connect is not new in our district. Teachers and students have been using it for upwards of 15 years. However, this year is the first year where we're activating the parent portal account so that you can also see how your student is progressing on those standards. What will happen is the district will send out communication through all of our methods that the parent portal accounts are ready for Mastery Connect and that you should be looking for an email. We are still working with our vendor to get everybody uploaded across the district, and we will send out one mass communication to all parents saying, As you can see this email, welcome parent, a Mastery Connect parent account provides you access to your students' progress toward mastery of standards. Click the button below to activate your account. This email will come from Mastery Connect, and they're going to send it on the district's behalf. And then you can just follow the directions. You're going to click the blue button to activate your account. When you click the blue button, here is what the next screen looks like. It's going to ask you to set up your profile. So your name, as you can see in the first box, and then you're going to have to create a password. And you'll have to check the little box, as you see in number 4, certifying that you are a parent or guardian of a student. And then you're going to hit save and continue. All of these, all of the parent emails, just so everyone is aware, are being pulled from Infinite Campus, which is the district's new student information system. Last year we had PowerSchool. We have shifted to Infinite Campus for this year. So if your email is accurate in Infinite Campus, it will get pulled in to Mastery Connect, and you should receive this activation email. Once you get your profile set up, it's going to bring you over to this account or to this screen, and it's going to ask you to log in. You have a couple different ways that you can do that. One, if you set your password up, you can do step 1 and 2, entering your email, entering your password, and hitting login. If you have assigned your account to your Google email, you can also try option 4 with signing in with Google. This will work as well. And then how do I use the Mastery Connect Parent Portal? I believe this is where I'm going to send it over to my fantastic colleague, Dr. Teresa Broughton, to kind of walk us through that and wrap us up.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are very excited to be here with you today, and it's lovely to see all the schools and grades that are being represented today. We're going to talk about how you as a parent can use the Mastery Connect portal. The first thing we want to share is that you can use this platform to view classes. And so what we have diagrammed on the screen for you is that when you're on the tracker view page, there is going to be a tab that says current classes, and it's going to default to this tab. And so when you get to this tab, you're looking at, the first thing is the name of the tracker, which is labeled number 3. So you're going to make sure you're on the right tracker for the course. And then over to the right, you're going to see the mastery information for that current class as related to the standards that have been assessed in each class that you'll see in that tracker. So over to the right, the little color bar just shows you information about the percentage of standards assessed. And again, make sure you're clicking on the correct tracker. The other thing that you can do is have sort of a mastery view of everything that's happening for that class. So on this mastery view page, the concept tabs display concepts that have been assessed and assigned the following mastery levels. And these are the colors that Melissa referenced earlier in the session. So when you see green, that's letting you know that there is mastery for that specific standard. And so it will be colored green. If you see red, that means that remediation is needed for that standard. And that could be the teacher may have just started with the standard and students haven't had a lot of instruction. And so that's usually going to be an indication to a teacher to look at, where am I in my pacing? If it's a standard that's newly addressed, we know we're going to continue to work on it. A teacher might see this red for this standard and say, that's something that we're going to do some extension work on, or we're going to do some more work with the students to support them. And so that's what that red color for remediation would mean. Near mastery is going to be yellow. And so that's also indicating to the teacher, where are we? What sort of gaps do I need to fill so that we can shift from that yellow to the green? If you see gray on the tab and NS, that means that that standard has not been assessed yet. When you want to expand your view of the standards, you can go over to the right, and for that particular standard, and you can click there and it will expand. If you want to collapse or expand all the standards, you simply go to the top where you see the little arrow inside of the box, and that will allow you to expand or collapse all of the standards. If you want to view a specific assessment on an expanded standard, you'll see the little image or icon at the bottom, and you will just click on that. Melissa, do you mind just hovering over? Oh, hold on, go back, please. Sorry. Yes, just showing them where you'd click on that to get more information about the assessment for that standard. Again, if the assessment icon that we were just circling, if it's not there, then it means that the teacher has not made the assessment available. And once all the students have completed that assessment, you should be able to then see it. Another option when you're in the platform or the portal is to view the progress reports. And so you'll see the tab defaults to what is labeled as current progress. And so you get two pieces of information. You get information on all of the standards, and you've got your color coding to show how things are going based on all of the standards there. In terms of 10% of the standards have been assessed. So you've got your different colors and your different percentages. To the right, you're looking at the standards with scores. And so you're able to see how students are doing, or how your student may be doing on the standards that have been scored and assessed. And you can see their additional information about, what is at mastery, near mastery, and what might need some additional support. So that's the progress report for that individual student. You can also print that over in that right top corner. Forgot to share that. So if you want to print that progress report, just go over to the right at the top and click print. And this concludes all of the information we have to share with you today around the parent portal for Mastery Connect. At this time, we are going to open this part of the session to questions that you may have. Please drop your questions in the Q&A section that you were placing your school and grade levels, and we will support you from there. Any questions from anyone?
If we have any friends that haven't already had an opportunity to, if you could go to the Q&A and at least drop in, what school are you here representing? So which school are you proud to send your children to? And what grade are they in? So we have a question. About when this will be available. You didn't miss it. It should be available before the end of the month. We're just working on some final uploads to be able to push it out to you all. And then there's another question in here about how do you get the activation code again? You'll receive an email as long as your email is accurate in Infinite Campus. That email should come to you. If you receive the district communication saying, hey, Mastery Connect parent portal emails are getting ready to go out, be on the lookout for them, and you don't receive one, I would reach out to your teacher, because we will be supporting teachers with how to upload parent emails manually. But we wanted to take a bulk of the work off of teachers' plates because they work so hard.
We have another question. Is this different from Infinity or Infinite Campus, maybe? Or Infinity, is that
Infinite Campus, platform? I would say
Infinite.
so.
Okay.
So
yes.
I would say
Go
yes.
ahead, Melissa.
Oh, sorry, Teresa.
You're good.
I would say yes. it is different. So to be clear, there are several parent portals that you all have access to. So you have access to a Canvas parent portal. If your children are in those upper elementary grades and middle school and high school, they tend to use Canvas a lot, and you can access and get a parent account there. You have Infinite Campus, right? Teresa and I are both CMS parents too. And so, we have our Infinite Campus account so that we can monitor student grades, things of that nature. Mastery Connect is yet another parent portal. That way you can access how your student is progressing on standards. Some of those are put in the grade book, some of them are not, because it might just be a little exit ticket at the end of a lesson before a quiz, right? Before something that may go in the grade book. It might be the MVPA scores. Those are not put in the grade book because it's not the type of assessment that goes in a grade book. So it's just a way for you to keep additional pulses on how your kiddos are progressing.
There's another question, and you may have just answered it. Melissa, it says, is it anticipated that this would end up including additional courses and or grade levels?
So it's optional at the school level. There are a lot of schools that it's just mandatory for all of their teachers to use it, save maybe electives or special areas. We do have some CTE teachers in high school that are using it. That one is kind of principal discretion. So when those codes come out and you put in, you create your account, you will see, as Teresa showed you, your landing page will show you every tracker that your child sits in. So if your school uses it for English and math and science and social studies, you'll see all 4 trackers in that landing spot.
We have a question around seeing scores instantly or after a long lag waiting for the data to be entered into Mastery Connect.
Oh, that's fantastic. You want to take that one, Teresa?
I'm going to attempt, and then I'll have you add to anything that
I'm sure you'll do it wonderful.
Okay, so as far as data being entered into Mastery Connect, the students are, it's automatically going to be in Mastery Connect. There's nothing that anyone has to go in and enter. And so you, as noted in the slides, you should be able to see results from your students fairly quickly.
Yeah. I'll just add on, Teresa, that was really solid. I'll just add on that the nature of Mastery Connect is that the answer key is already built into it. And so when your child presses submit on the assessment, their score and their mastery level on each standard is instant. Save if it is an open response, because that isn't something that the computer can read. And so if it's something that requires either a rubric, which open response would, then the teacher's got to grade that portion of it. And then the score will be popped up. But I would say for a bulk of the assessments, you see the data instantly.
Will this apply to both schools if you have, this parent has students in 2 schools? And as Melissa stated previously, it's optional. So you will want to make sure that you keep an eye out for any communication from the school. And if after a while you haven't heard anything from one of your or both of your schools, feel free to reach out to your child's teacher to find out whether or not this is something that's going to be part of the parent engagement piece for your children's schools.
All right, so I want to make sure that I'm understanding that correctly, Teresa. Okay. So they're asking if they have a student at 2 schools, will they be getting the information for both of their kids?
Well, the question says, will this apply? So, and I see a thumbs up. So I'm guessing we are on the right track.
Okay, so yes. I'll give you an example. I have 2 children in CMS. I have a 7th grader. I have a 10th grader. My Infinite Campus account is tagged to both of my children. My email is tagged to both of my children. So I will have access to both of my children and all of their trackers, if that helps.
We've got a question about the difference between the parent portal and the student portal.
There is not one. There is not one. We just, sometimes students have access to things, and as a parent, you're wanting to see things for yourself, and you don't necessarily want to have to ask your student to open their stuff and go through all the steps. So this just allows you to have that level of access.
What type of assessments will be displayed in Mastery Connect?
So there is a plethora of different types of assessments. To be clear, in the parent portal, you will be able to see how your students are doing down to the standard level, okay? So not necessarily being able to see how they answered every single answer choice. You'll be able to see, okay, this standard, and you'll be able to see what the standard covers. Here's how my student is progressing. But students can take in Mastery Connect multiple choice, true, false, drag and drop, hotspot, where they're kind of using their cursor to touch certain areas of the screen. It's helpful when doing something with like a process or a cycle. You can do rubric-based, open response, all of those. For the most part, teachers create multiple choice assessments and true, false, or kind of open response, whether that be more on like the ELA side, where that might be an expanded open response, or the math side, where they're trying to get kiddos ready for the open response questions they may see on either the EOG or EOC, depending on their grade level, and want to make sure that they know how to be entering those scores, because sometimes that messes kiddos up and they've got the right answer, but it matters how you enter it.
Our next question is, why is there not a single platform for everything? And there are several things listed: communications, grades, announcements, instead of Canvas, Parent Square, Google Docs, Infinite Campus, email, Mastery Connect, etc., etc.
Yes, I validate you.
Yes.
It is a matter of each product having a purpose, definitely feedback that, we can capture and share with, our executive director so that he can lift that up higher. This one came at the request of our cabinet. Like I said, this is the first year that this is being available to parents, and it really is speaking to trying to be as transparent as possible in all of our platforms with our parents and our community, because we are held accountable to you all. And so wanting to make sure that you all have access to the level of data. We do acknowledge that there are a lot of platforms, and that can be a little daunting. I would say, Infinite Campus is definitely an area where you can go and look at those grades or those attendance or, those pieces. Canvas allows us to see the assignments so that we can help monitor that. Mastery Connect helps us dig a little bit deeper into how are kiddos doing on things that they're going to be assessed on at the end of the year. So each one kind of has a different purpose. And so it's really hard to house them all in one platform, if that makes sense.
We also have some general feedback from Miss Rivers, and she says, I think this is great. Something that I have been wanting to see for a long time. Thank you for implementing. We appreciate that feedback, Miss Rivers, as well. Thank you so much. We are excited that you are excited.
Yay. I saw one in here, Teresa. Somebody asked the question, is this being recorded? So here's the wonderful part. If you've been able to grab the screenshot, or if you've been able to grab the bit.ly for the PowerPoint presentation on the, it's probably slide 4, because it's the first slide for like our content. There is a video link in the bottom right, because we figured that because we're doing this ahead of time, before you'll get your access, we wanted you to be able to have a video to refer back to so that you knew kind of what to do. So there's a video link there where you hear the lovely Dr. Teresa Broughton going through the slides again. It will be housed, both this PowerPoint and the video, we're going to house it on the family engagement website so that you have access to it there. That way, should you need it as a reference in the future, you know where to go find it.
We have a question around the wondering of whether or not the student portal offers more details and therefore may be better for parents to use with the student. And they just want to clarify, is it better to sit with the student and go from the student portal view?
So the student portal view at this point and the parent portal view are going to be the same. In the past, students had access to see the assessment and kind of how they've answered each question. That is now something that is held at the teacher level, and that just helps us secure the privacy of all of the assessments, because some students may take an assessment at one school on one day and another school may be taking it just the very next day, and that allows us as a district to help ensure the privacy of those assessments. So as a parent, you'll be able to get all the way down to the little pictures in the boxes that you saw of, okay, here's this assessment. My child was green on this assessment. And then, your students are having the conversations in the schoolhouse around, individual questions, and teachers have the ability to print out those what we call item analysis. So how your student did on every single question on there, but that also helps them keep the privacy of the assessment as well.
Do MVPA scores normally correspond to the tracking in Mastery Connect?
So MVPA is built by Mastery Connect. They determine the mastery levels and align those to predictive scores for end of grade and end of course tests. So when you get those reports, they usually those are sent home from the school. And those, you should be getting them either electronically through your Parent Square or paper copy, depending upon how your school likes to send those home. Those come out about 10 days after the window closes. So I want to put that in context. The window for MVPAs is usually about 2 weeks. And if your school tests at the very beginning of that window, you might not see that report for about 3 weeks, because it takes the whole window, and then those reports do not become available for the school until 3 days after the window for the entire district closes. And then those populate for the school. And we like to give them a week, because we understand the workings of a school, a week to get those out to parents. So the mastery levels on those are usually, the mastery levels on the MVPA are aligned to the EOGs, right? So in Mastery Connect, mastery is set at 80%, but mastery on an EOG may be, varying depending upon the grade level and content area. And so those MVPA reports, because they are aligned specifically to the EOG and EOCs, the mastery levels on the MVPAs aligned to those. What we push for as a district is 80% mastery. That way we know we are pushing you toward grade level proficient and ultimately college and career ready, those 4s and 5s on the EOG. And we know we start entering that lens when we're hitting about 80% mastery on standards.
What about iReady and DIBELS data? Would that be included if the school building chooses to?
We may need a little more data on that. So when you say would that be included, are they referring to like parent portal access?
I'm thinking so. And in thinking about that, iReady has a separate platform in which students and their reports and information is available. And there's a completely different way that you can get information about your students' iReady scores. There is a specific parent code that your school shares with you so that you can go in and see information about your child's scores on iReady and lots of other wonderful resources in their family center. And so those would be housed on that platform, and your access for that would be different than Mastery Connect. And when students take the DIBELS assessment, their data sits in Amplify, which is the platform for DIBELS data. And that information is shared through a Home Connect letter that is sent out after each benchmark window. They take iReady. iReady will be taken twice required this year. And there's a third window that schools can decide whether they want to administer the iReady assessment. So there's 2 windows that are required, and then they have an option to do a third window for DIBELS for your K2 students and some third for K3 and some 4th graders that are RTA students. Those assessments are also different benchmarks, and you get an actual Home Connect letter that will explain everything about your students' performance around those literacy skills, or as iReady is going to give you literacy and math. So again, those would be 2 different platforms aside from Mastery Connect, but they all offer ways for parents to engage and ideas for how to support based on the data that is received for your student. Next question, how does this align with EC students, IEP students, or what's the expectation for those families?
So I would say with that would be a question to reach out to your school and speak with school staff, whether it be, their homeroom teacher or gen ed teacher and or their EC teacher, which may also be their case manager, just to have the conversation with them about how they're using this data with regard to those IEPs.
Is Mastery Connect an app or web-based?
It is web-based. It used to be an app. That's why there was a moment of pause for me. It used to be an app, but it is web-based. Students go to it via a student portal, and then parents, you'll be able to access that web-based portal as well once you have your account set up.
Okay, we do have some information shared around information that is being received through Infinite Campus, where this particular parent is getting mail for other students from other schools.
Oh, I saw that one.
And phone calls from other students, having updated the info, still getting wires crossed. We are definitely wanting to ask that you continue to communicate with your with the school in regard to the issues there, so that they can get that resolved for you. And they may need to submit a ticket for some technology help if needed. But again, that would be something you would reach out to your school around.
I see a question around what is MV. It says MVPS, but I think they mean MVPAs.
Okay.
So MVPAs are those Mastery View predictive assessments. They are given to students in grades 3 through 8 in reading, 3 through 8 in math, 5th grade science, 8th grade science. If you have high schoolers, they are given in English 2, biology, math 1, and math 3. They are assessments that are given so that you, the student, the teachers, the school, the district know how students are progressing toward how they will be assessed on the end of grade and end of course assessments at the end of the year. If you have students in elementary school and middle school that are in year-long classes, they will take that twice this year. They will not take, last year they took it 3 times. So we are scaling back by 1 assessment. So they'll take it 2 times this year, 1 in the fall, 1 kind of in the spring. If you have students in high school that are in semester-based classes, they will only take MVPAs 1 time this year. Last year, they took it 2 times at the beginning, kind of towards the beginning of the course, and then at the end of the course. Those are kind of your MVPAs.
Okay.
You see any other questions?
We've got a few more.
Okay.
Questions around which main apps we will be using. Our team supports schools around the use of data. We support teachers and school leaders and district leaders around how we can support teachers to then be able to support the students. So when it comes to specific schools and grade levels and content and apps that are needed, that question is best asked of the people in your school, the school leaders, because that could look very different depending on a lot of different pieces. And so that question, I think, is a great question to reach out to your teacher, your child's teacher, to find out which main apps, depending on what programs and things are being used within that school, that grade level, and the different content areas. So that's a great question. I think better served by reaching out to your teacher, your child's teacher. Do tests like iReady automatically link their results into Mastery Connect? So this is referring back to a previous question. So the results from iReady do not link with Mastery Connect at all. These are 2 separate platforms with 2 different ways for parents to engage and understand and see their child's data. And so just wanted to clarify that there's iReady's data is not going to link into Mastery Connect. Those will be 2 different access points for you as a parent. Is Mastery Connect closely aligned with ELGs? If a child is doing well in Mastery Connect, a parent can infer that their child will do well in their ELGs. Has this been proven true over time per prior data analysis?
Yeah, so the district is in their 3rd year of conducting a study exactly to that point. Mastery Connect has their research around, alignment for it. The district also likes to do their own research. So we are in year 3 of that. If you are familiar with statistics and analysis of that level, you need about 3 or 4 years worth of data. So we anticipate after this year being able to show the CMS correlation.
Okay, we talked about the MVPAs. Just looking for some more questions. Melissa, can you drop the link in the Q&A again?
I can't because I'm sharing screen at the moment.
You're sharing. I will do that. Okay. So that slide deck link has been reshared. Is there any in-person on-site support from CMS to set up all of the app information pipelines now that human interaction is being eliminated?
I think that is wonderful. A wonderful question.
Go ahead, Melissa. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think, I appreciate having family and engagement hosting this session because I think that is wonderful feedback for them to, determine next steps on how we can potentially address that feedback.
From which grade do we get to use Canvas?
Depends on the school. Where we typically, right? So there are Canvas courses built as low as kindergarten. Some of it is about developmental, what can kiddos kind of handle. Canvas started in our high schools. So, you know, I can't really think of a single high school that's not using Canvas. A lot of our middle schools use it pretty holistically. And I would say more elementary schools use it than not, especially in your upper elementary grades. So starting in third, fourth, you know, fifth. Third is usually where we start dabbling and playing. Fourth and fifth, they tend to start using it a little more. If your school is not using it, that is not necessarily a bad thing, okay? That's just one of those things that is principal discretion and principal autonomy in their buildings.
So we have one last question that we're going to cover here. I think everything else we have touched on. So this parent says, I understand that Mastery Connect will allow me to get down to the standards level of data. However, just as I've learned in past years, that doesn't help me to help my child understand or even know what question they missed, and whether it was just their lack of understanding or truly, or is there a lack of, I'm not sure, lack of understanding or truly a lack of understanding the concept. Any feedback on this?
Yeah. So I would say one, as always, right? Teresa and I are both educators. However, I do not teach 10th grade. So I am in constant contact with those teachers saying, hey, you know, we just had this test. I noticed, you know, she did make mastery on whatever standard. What can I be doing at home for that? You know, is she in small group for this? You know, engaging in those conversations, because the teachers are looking at the data and pulling small groups based upon which questions students are missing and things of that nature. So being in that, you know, that open communication, that way it really shows teachers, you know, we're shouldering in this work with you. And I think it's an open place to say, I don't know what this standard means. Do you have some items that we can be working on at home? Sometimes what they're able to do is, if they're noticing that a student is struggling in a certain standard, they are able to lean into some of the other resources, possibly iReady, right? Because they can assign things based upon standards. So you may take an assessment in Mastery Connect, not do as well on it, and the teacher can support you with some possible teacher assigned work that you can be working on in iReady. And then as a parent, I can sit next to you and I can see, oh, that type of question. And as you're answering the questions, okay, you're not getting that part right. And then that's helpful feedback for a teacher too, to say, hey, I'm noticing when he's doing the work or she's doing the work, this is where we're getting mixed up. Is this something you're addressing in class, or is this something, you know, that, is there a way that I can be working on this? Because, you know, let's face it, how we tended to learn in school is a little different than how some of our kids are learning right now. And so wanting to make sure that you were explaining it as well in similar ways. I know family engagement and the curriculum specialists have been creating all sorts of standards aligned resources that are available on the family engagement website and through the curriculum websites. And I know family engagement has the links to all of those. That way, as you're receiving feedback in Mastery Connect or in iReady reports, and they're talking about standards, as a parent, you have a bevy of resources that you can go to say, all right, we need to do some work on blank standard. We've got these resources that the district has approved of and put together for us. And then you've got the teacher as well, and they probably have some things that they can share as well. So I did want to give, oh, I'm sorry, Teresa.
No, you go ahead, Melissa.
I said I did want to give kudos. Thank you, everybody, for asking the questions. I love a place where people ask the questions. That way, you know, we all grow together. And I would say thank you for leaning into the space. Again, if you have not been able to shout out the school that your kiddos go to, please, please, please put it in the Q&A. That way, we as a district can kind of shout them out and let them know, you know, thank you for sending your parents and for sharing this information with your parents so that we all get a little more understanding together.
And as you're using these different parent engagement resources, we just want to make sure we reiterate that if you are having any questions or need some support, please reach out to your child's teacher so that they can connect you to the level of support that is needed. And we hope that this Mastery Connect Parent Portal gives you another window into how to help support your child at home based on things that they are learning that will prepare them for EOGs. All of these are various data points that together speak to how well your student is doing as they progress towards the grade level standards that they will be assessed upon. And so again, we hope that this is another resource that will be helpful to you this year. Again, make sure that you check with your child's school to see if this resource will be offered for you to access this year. And I think, Melissa, we are getting really close to the end of our session. We will take it back to the family engagement team who is hosting this event for you to see if there are any closing remarks or details that they want to share since we are at the end of our session.
Just wanted to say thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Teresa, for an amazing presentation. Thank you to our families for attending today's Family Academy Lunch and Learn. We hope that you guys, if you haven't already done so, please complete the attendance link that's pinned in the Q&A. And we, again,